If you are buying or selling real estate in this crazy housing market, just note that mistakes are being made and I want you to avoid them. So stay tuned. I have 3 great tips that you don't want to miss, and it starts right now. Welcome back. I am Michelle Miller with Michelle Miller Realty and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Arizona Properties, and I cover all things real estate and lifestyle here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. And today's topic, we are talking about contract mistakes that are being made in the flurry of all this housing activity that's going on. All right, let's just jump right in. Okay, step number 1, read the contract before you ever go and make an offer on any property. We have a booklet that we provide, at least I provide, to my buyers, and it contains the purchase contract as well as the addendums that can go in with the purchase contract. Make sure you read them. It's super boring. I'm not going to candy comb that, but you need to know what you're signing before you actually sign it. And I can't tell you how many people will just sign documents that they have never read, which is astounding considering the cost of what you're buying. Once you do write an offer with your agent, make sure that your agent goes over it line by line with you, because it is your name that's signing these documents and you need to agree to, the contents of that contract. You want to make sure you know what it says, double check the math, make sure you know what the closing costs are, because there's probably going to be an HOA addendum or something if you're getting a plain community, and knowing exactly what those fees are that you're going to have to bring that cash to the table. All right, secondly, this is a huge one. In fact, we just had a big meeting with our broker today to talk about all the issues that are happening in this market because people in their haste to get an offer slammed in and try and get their buyers something when our inventory is so small, a lot of mistakes are being made. When you go through your contract, if you see that your agent has written in a lot of material about the conditions of when you're buying, find out if there is an addendum that would do the exact same thing, because those addendums are written to cover a lot of issues such as non-refundable earnest money or waiving an appraisal or being a backup contract, something like that. All that's already in there. There's no guessing on the wording that needs to be done, and there's no chance for misinterpretation of the wording that versus if somebody writes it in, that can be up for interpretation, and then that's where you can really get into trouble. On that point, let me just give you an example. So my broker today was talking about somebody that had written in the contract that the buyer would waive the appraisal up to $8,000 over the appraisal cost. What he meant was, let's say the purchase price was $450,000, and so he was basically saying he would pay up to $458,000 if the home, didn't appraise that high. But what happened is, let's say the house came in at $400,000 and you, the seller, signed that. That means that you could potentially be accepting an offer for $408,000 and not $458,000. So it's kind of important, right? There's another issue that has been really popular too, is that people are making their earnest money hard. What do I mean by that? Hard earnest money is it's basically non-refundable. And so this can affect you as the buyer, for sure as the buyer, but it can also affect you as the seller. As a buyer, if your agent would write in that your earnest money will become non-refundable after the inspection period, that could be a big problem. The inspection period is not the due diligence period in our contract. What's the difference? The inspection period is the first 10 days, which you have the right to do any and all inspections that you want. The due diligence period is the inspection period plus the time when you say, all right, I did my inspections. I want the seller to fix these items. Then the seller can respond and say, I'll fix all of them, I'll fix nothing, etc. That's all part of the due diligence period. If you would have made your earnest money non-refundable after just the inspection period, that seller could say, I'm not going to make any of these repairs that you're asking for. And if you say, that's fine, but I'm going to cancel the contract, guess who gets the earnest money? It's not going to be you, the buyer. It's going to go to the seller. So, just be careful of what you're signing and make sure that it's very, very clear. Another point in the that is eliminated if you don't. So we have an additional clause addendum that covers a lot of these items that would better protect you if you do want to make your earnest money non-refundable. Because the other issue that if you do make your earnest money not refundable after the inspection period, the other thing that you could be at risk is risk of loss. That's if the home is seriously damaged before you actually close escrow. If you decide to cancel because the house was too damaged, you don't get your earnest money back. The other thing is the seller could just flake out and say, I'm not going to sell you my house. And you'd be like, well, that's fine. But guess what? He gets to keep your earnest money too, because you made it non-refundable. So a title company is always going to go back to what the contract says. And if the contract is written just like I said, if it's your earnest money is non-refundable after the inspection period, it's not refundable. The last point is to always get your house inspected. People will waive it trying to eke out another offer. And really I think what they mean is that they're not going to ask the seller for any repairs, but don't take away your right to know what is wrong with that house, because you need to know what you're buying. Even if you're a contractor and you have the ability and the trades to fix all that stuff, wouldn't you really want to know exactly what you're buying and how much it's going to cost you to fix that? I would always recommend some kind of inspection, at least a general inspection at the bare minimum. Now, this video is not to scare you, so hopefully I didn't do that, but I just like to make everybody aware of things that are going on so that you are informed. I think when you're informed, you make better decisions. It makes you look out for things that you may not otherwise be looking out for. Let's face it, you hired an agent for a reason, because you don't work in real estate. That's all we do day in and day out. And so why not lean on the expertise of the agent that you hired? If you do have a newer agent, just make sure that they have somebody that can back them up. Ask the questions when you hire this person. How much experience do you have? And don't be afraid if they're a new agent. Just make sure that they have somebody in their corner or that they're partnering with on the deal, just so you get somebody that has some more seasoning on your side. So if you have additional questions, my contact information is below. I'd be happy to answer questions that you have about all things real estate or things that are happening here in the Scottsdale area. I'll also provide a link to my top 10 staging tips for you if you are a seller. And if you are a seller and you live in Arizona, please call me, because we need your listings badly. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm Michelle Miller with Michelle Miller Real Estate and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Arizona Properties. We'll see you next time.